Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Hey, welcome back to Joe on Joe. I'm your host, Joe Slepsky, and we are in lovely Highland Park, California, from the newly renovated Batcave 2. That's what I'm calling it, with my guest.
Batcave the Return.
Batcave the Return, with my guest, the lovely, the talented Stephanie Goldstein.
Hello.
Welcome back, Stephanie.
I'm so excited to be back again.
You were on the show last fall, where the reptiles roam.
Yes,
Yes,
that's the one.
yes,
that's the
yes,
one.
yes, yes. We're the Dude Ranch. They took over the Dude Ranch.
The Dude Ranch and the bad guys right in the middle of Iowa. Or wherever
So
they were.
good. Well, Stephanie's back this week for part 2 of Arise, Serpentor, Arise. And she's one of my special guests that I teased last week. We've got some more special guests coming up next couple weeks, and then we're all getting together to do a big grand finale for the episode 5.
I cannot wait for that.
I cannot wait for it either. And we're all buddies here, and so it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a really good time with it. So next week is going to be a surprise. And this week, here's your reveal, Stephanie Goldstein.
Woo!
Stephanie Goldstein, she's an editor at large out here in California. She's currently working on the show Survivor's Remorse, which is on Stars TV. Stephanie, tell us a little bit about that show.
It's in season 4. It's probably one of the better shows that nobody watches on television.
Okay.
It's about this family. This guy gets drafted for this team in the NBA, unnamed team, because I don't think you're allowed to use the name of a team.
Yeah.
But he moves with his family, his mom, sister, and uncle, and then cousin, who's his manager, down to Atlanta. So
it's the Hawks, but they can't say the Hawks.
Exactly.
Got it.
And his jersey just says Atlanta, and it's generic, but it's really funny, and there's a lot of really good character bits in there.
Yeah. And you've been on that just this season?
Just this season.
Cool. My hope is that more people are going to be tuning into that this summer because of American Gods. I think American Gods is going to get a lot of eyeballs on Stars.
I hope so. I know that the other show, Power, starts in June, and I think we start in July. So hopefully, August. We start in August, so hopefully they'll have like ads and stuff.
Okay. Oh, so this season hasn't aired yet.
It has not aired yet.
Oh, okay. Well, pardon me. So is it a deal where are you guys doing? Because I know you said you're finishing very shortly. You're doing all the episodes together, and then they're going to release them, or how's that work?
Yeah, they do. A lot of times these cable shows, it seems like they'll do the episodes and then they give you times. The air dates are way down the line. But when we started the show, we didn't have air dates, since I think they just kind of play it by ear as far as like their scheduling and stuff like that. So,
okay.
But they just announced, I think it was August 20th, I think is what they said.
Okay, so that's exciting. So Joe and Joe listeners, if you've got Stars, or if you're deciding to get Stars this summer, because we know American Gods is the big elephant in the room, check out Survivor's Remorse.
It's an $8.99 a month add-on on Amazon Prime too.
Oh, very cool.
Stars is, that is. So.
And I checked it out because I was going to go watch American Gods, and you get like a 7-day free trial.
You do, and you could watch seasons 1 through 3 of Survivor's Remorse because there's only 6 episodes season 1 and then 10 each for season 2 and 3. So
awesome, and that's plenty of time to watch in 7 days.
I did it in 7 days. I got the job and I watched 26 episodes.
See,
so.
that you know what that is? That's a go-getter, Stephanie. That's a go-getter. That's they always say when you're going for a job, you should know as much as possible about that company. So that's someone who said, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to watch this show. So you're working on season 4?
This is season 4.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so excited. Well, this is season 2 of G.I. Joe.
Ooh.
Yeah. And actually, before we get going into season 2 of G.I. Joe, I want to take a moment. We are recording this actually on the day when a gentleman died by the name of Mr. Stanley Weston. The name may sound familiar to some of you older Joe fans. He is the man who actually created G.I. Joe, not the G.I. Joe versus Cobra storyline, but the actual G.I. Joe toy way back when to compete with Barbie. He's the one that came up with the idea to let's make an action army figure that boys could play with alongside girls.
I wonder why they never had. If it's supposed to compete with Barbie, why did they not have him dressable like a Barbie?
Well, he was.
Oh, the original one?
Yeah, the original one was. Yeah, they had clothes.
Oh, okay.
They had clothes. I know. I always wonder why. Well, just they didn't do it back then. But like some genius, there's an alternate universe where some genius went to both toy companies and said, let's do a crossover in like 1968. You know what I mean? And was like, let's make a Barbie military adventure Jeep that would have room for Joe on the side or something, or some crossover like that.
I'm sure they did a military garb Barbie.
Not.
You
I
don't think so?
Not back then. I don't think. I don't.
But Barbie still is.
I'm sure they've
There's
done.
still new Barbies. Though.
I'm sure they've done that since then. But when G.I. Joe was in its heyday, when G.I. Joe was, still 12 inches tall, before he got shrunk by the by the dastardly shrinking ray of rising prices, I don't think Barbie was military at the time. I
Probably
think she was
not.
still pretty. Like how many times did people still decry even when we were growing up, like, of get Barbie out of the kitchen, get her in the workforce, I can't imagine Barbie having a.
Yeah, I mean, I guess she could work, but she couldn't join the army.
She better get out there and work, okay? Because listen, G.I. Joe's struggling hard. So I just want to say real quick, rest in peace, Mr. Stanley Weston and all his family. Good tidings and condolences, because without him, we don't have Arise, Serpentor, Arise Part 2. Without him, we don't have the combined DNA of dictators throughout the nation, throughout the world, throughout history, combining to form the ultimate Cobra leader. Without him, we don't have this I command, right? We don't have Sergeant Slaughter, right?
Oh, no Sergeant Slaughter.
Not without this guy.
Oh, man.
So rest in peace, and we're going to talk a little G.I. Joe. So, Stephanie, since you were last on the show, what have you any urges to watch G.I. Joe, or have you found yourself in any hot topical G.I. Joe conversations at any point in your life?
I have more than once said, "Hey, my buddy Joe does a G.I. Joe podcast."
Hey, that's more than you said before.
People talk about podcasts, and I don't know that G.I. Joe comes up in it, but I'm like, "Oh yeah, so what are you doing tonight?" "Oh, I'm going to go home and record this G.I. Joe podcast."
Well, G.I. Joe is a lot of things, and one of them is comic books. We just had Free Comic Book Day. You are a comic book maven. What books are you reading these days? What's some of the new stuff that you're really into?
Let's see. I'm still loving Paper Girls.
Great.
The latest issue just came out a week ago.
Give our fans a synopsis of Paper Girls.
Oh, man, it's set in the 80s. Some girls who deliver newspapers, which was, they're sort of like these 5 really cool chicks that are like deliver newspapers, and then they encounter some monsters, and then it's turned into sort of a Stranger Things type story with some time travel.
And it was coming out before Stranger Things dropped.
It was coming out
so
before Stranger Things.
It's important to make that.
It is, yes.
Yes.
It was coming out before Stranger Things.
And there's time travel in it now.
There is
I'm
time
familiar
travel.
with it, but I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not an up-to-date reader.
Yeah, it's just kind of going from. They go into the past, they go into the future.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's a little unclear who's good, who's bad. It's just really interesting and compelling, and
fantastic.
it's really good. I think they're only on. I want to say maybe issue 13.
I was just going to say 12. Yeah,
it's still pretty early on, so you can definitely jump on. I know there's a couple.
Yeah,
trades
there's 2
out.
trades out there. So if you're interested, get on it and read it, because it has been one of the best sellers coming out of Image. So definitely one of the best sellers of the last year.
A newer one that I've been reading is 7 to Eternity, which I've been enjoying.
Love it.
So
7 to Eternity is great.
and I think they're on maybe number 6.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sold out immediately. That sold out so fast. I worked there, and I had trouble getting my hands on copies. And then eventually they all sold out. So I stopped reading regular issues at 3.
Oh,
Because I don't know when they come out, because I'm not there on Wednesdays. I'm only there on Saturdays. So I'm not.
they're
yeah.
gone. They're gone.
Yeah, and I keep forgetting to put it on my pull list, and now I know I'm like 3 or 4 episodes behind. So I'll just get in the trade. But it's great. It's super sci-fi and crazy, and
It's been good to see stuff out. I mean, stuff I haven't been able to get, which is sad. But then you go to the shelf and you see stuff gone, which means I don't know if more people are buying comics or if there's just better comics that people want. So it's kind of nice to see some stuff being a little harder to get.
yeah, we had a well-attended Free Comic Book Day. For those listening, if you're not familiar with Free Comic Book Day, once a year, it's the first Saturday in May every year. Comic shops around the country give away free comic books, but it's like specific books that the publishers put out, and the shops are able to purchase them at a super, super low rate, and they give them away free. And it's kind of like Christmas, really. It's comic shop Christmas. So most shops get really long lines, and it's a great day to celebrate. And we had a real successful one at Golden Apple this year. We had Joelle Selner, who was a guest on Joe and Joe a couple episodes ago. She was there promoting her book Myrrh. We had Miraculous, which is a ladybug superhero that's on Netflix.
I got to check this out.
Yeah, there were a couple of other voice actors there. They were fantastic. The line was the young girls in line for that were super excited. And then we had Roberto Gira from Riverdale. He's the showrunner and creator of Riverdale. He's a friend of the store, and he was at the store as well, along with Mark Andreyko and Jerry Dugan from Jerry Dugan from the Guardians of the Galaxy comic, and Mark Andreyko, of course, writer. He's currently writing the Wonder Woman 77 books. He's written a ton of comic books. He actually wrote The Origin of the Baroness. Yeah, so we had a real successful free comic book day. If you're listening and you're into comics, I hope you did too. So we're going to get into the show.
If you miss Free Comic Book Day, though, you have to wait almost a full year.
You have to wait 364 for not free comic book days.
So don't forget about it next year.
My slogan all day was, hey, just because healthcare ain't free don't mean your comics can't be.
That's amazing.
Now, if you want to reach out and find Stephanie online, it's at SteffersRG, and that's on Twitter and Instagram.
Correct.
Awesome. And she does some great stuff on there. And you can find me at Joe and Joe Pod, and that's Twitter and Instagram. And you send me an email to joeandjoepod@gmail.com. Let me know what you think of the show. Let me know if you want to be on the show. We love having remote guests. And you can always send us a review on iTunes or Stitcher or TuneIn or wherever you're listening to the show. So, Stephanie, Arise, Serpentor, Arise, Part 2. Are you ready?
I mean, ready.
When I say that the Joe fans are excited about this episode, once we started Serpentor, my Twitter feed's been busier than it has been in months.
Part 2 in particular? Or
well,
just
in general.
Okay.
I mean, once they find out that you're on Part 2, are you kidding me? It's going to blow up. But just the fact that we've hit the plateau of Serpentor. Honestly, I got all kinds of people going, yes. Serpentor, yes. So
this is where it's at.
This is Serpentor's where it's at. It's a big turning point. So I'm glad.
So this is like the Super Bowl episode of G.I. Joe.
It is. It really is. It really is. So I'm glad to have you as a part of it.
I'm glad to be here.
Here we go with Arise, Serpentor Arise, Part 2.
Yo, Joe!
So Stephanie, I don't know if you recall, but this is a new opening. I don't know if this looks different to you. But they redid the opening for the show because now they wanted to focus on the new action figures.
Oh, okay.
So most of these figures that are going to be, most of the characters that are going to be prominent in this episode and just for most of the season, those were all new action figures they wanted to sell on the store shelves.
Okay.
So like Hawk's new, Leatherneck's new, Iceberg, Alpine's he's from previous season, Wetsuit's new. The Cobra Vipers, those guys were new. Roadblock's a new look for him. The Bats, those guys are new. Like the Terrordrome itself was a huge playset for Cobra.
Okay.
So it's like they redid everything to focus the toy line. And of course, Sergeant Slaughter. Let's not go any further.
Sergeant Slaughter.
So let's listen in on the recap of what happened last time.
Assault, utilizing his new weapon, the Battle Android Troopers. But the timely arrival of Sergeant Slaughter gave General Hawk the diversion he needed to turn the tide. Meanwhile, back at the Terrordrome, Destro and Dr. Mindbender plotted to replace Cobra Commander with a new leader, the Cobra Emperor, created from the DNA of long-dead conquerors, a bizarre inspiration given to Dr. Mindbender in a dream. But as Sergeant Slaughter's training restores the Joe's fighting spirit, Slipstream intercepts a Cobra Night Raven carrying Dr. Mindbender's plan to Zartan. And Hawk sends Sergeant Slaughter, Beachhead, and Lowlight to uncover the whole secret at Zartan's camp. There, Thrasher corners Sergeant Slaughter in his deadly Thunder Machine. And now, today's chapter of Arise, Serpentor, Arise.
So those are all new dudes getting chased by new dreadnoughts and everything. So Thrasher's a new dreadnought. Like they're all. He actually just joined the team.
I like his hair.
He's great, right? He's a serial killer, for the record.
Well, he's got the frosted tips. That's how you know.
Yeah. He also drives that sweet Trans Am.
Tears to their eyes.
Sergeant Slaughter just keeps a smoke bomb in his pocket.
Where would you keep yours?
Is that a smoke bomb in your pocket, or are you just Sergeant Slaughter? I want to, before we go any further, I want to point out something that I didn't notice in last episode. We saw Beachhead without his mask on for what I can only think of as one of the very few times. Beachhead's the Ranger that has the full green hood on his face, the good guy. And you almost never see him without that on. And in that flashback, I realized in one of those meetings, they drew him with it off. He just looked like a regular white dude, nothing special. But you don't really see him without it. Like, see, he's been
Oh.
hanging out. He's always got it on, right?
But there's enough left to tell us Cobra's gonna be hitting historical burial sites all over the world.
The
tomb of
cowboy hat
Napoleon
just
in
gets me every
Paris.
time.
Hey, listen, Wild Bill's got to wear the cowboy hat. Oh yeah, because you last time was where the Wild Bill
Yeah.
and the Dude Ranch. Yep. You know they're gonna keep him around. So we're gonna find out what tombs that
Genghis
Cobra's
Khan,
gonna raid.
Montezuma, Alexander the Great,
And we're listing all
Ivan
these
the
Genghis Khan, Montezuma, Alexander the Great, all these lists of cobras or of great dictators, which is kind of cool from a kid's perspective to give you the sense of like, who are these people? And so I remember
If we do
looking them
nothing,
up,
We'll surely pay for it.
Okay.
and this is before.
It's not just about toys. It's about
Right.
learning.
Yeah. I mean, this is before Google, right? So I remember busting out the encyclopedia set that we had and like looking up Genghis Khan and like, H for Hitler, like,
Yeah.
I will not, monsieur. I am the mayor of Paris.
How great is this?
Protect my city.
There's the French mayor.
Yeah. The French mayor, which, by the way, as we're recording this, Vive la France. Thank you very much for your vote. But let's think about
Sorry
what's-
about this racist French mayor
Yeah,
that we
yeah,
have on
yeah. Yeah. But let's think about what's happening here. G.I. Joe was able to fly their vehicles all the way to Paris, land, leave from the airport, drive down, and they get all the way down the street until the mayor shows up and is like, "Get out!"
He doesn't even have any deputies.
At-
It's just the mayor
yeah.
standing in the middle of the
At-
street.
At no point prior to this moment.
Oh, he's just standing there with his arms crossed.
At no point prior to that moment did anyone in the French government go, "Hey, maybe G.I. Joe shouldn't be here."
No, the mayor's got it.
Yeah.
Just let him handle it.
Well, this is great. We're going to Russia. We got Snow Job. They're in Snow
The
Cats.
Soviet Union is pleased
And
to get
they're going to
G.I.
check out
Joe
Ivan the
help.
Terrible, which means we're going to get a visit from the October Guard.
He just said that the Soviet Union was pleased to have G.I. Joe's help.
Yeah. It was a different time. It was a different time.
But I think that time they would not have been pleased.
No,
to
they
have
would not
G.I.
have been
Joe's
pleased. No,
help.
but they're there to help protect Ivan the Terrible, right?
We got old Xanathame and Toth's last resting place locked up tighter than
I mean, I like that.
Flint's in the jungle, Dusty's in the desert. Like, there's a lot going on here.
I like that the Joes will just help anybody. They don't know anything
Yeah.
about a Cold War.
Right. Dusty, he's a sucker for a pretty face.
Ma'am, what's the problem?
My family.
This woman comes
My
falling
father,
out of a Jeep
mother,
and
little
says,
sister, back in the next valley, we were attacked
multiple
by
episodes
Cobra.
Dusty's been
Will you
suckered by a
help
woman.
us, please?
He's never gonna learn.
He's never going to learn. I feel like when he was a kid, he read some kind of romantic, what is it? What's the, what of the desert? Well, like who was what's his name? That with the great movie in the desert. He read some kind of novel about like a romance
Like
in
out of Africa.
not out of Africa, but it's Peter Niven, the big sweeping movie.
Lawrence of Arabia.
Lawrence of Arabia is what I'm trying to think of. It's like he saw that or read about Lawrence and was like D.H. Lawrence and was like, that's just the romantic life I want to lead. And every time he meets a woman in the desert, he's into it.
They should stop sending Dusty to the desert.
They really should. Except this time, it turns out that woman is Zorana. Now, Zorana is Zartan's
Looks like
sister.
there's nothing for miles but miles and miles of nothing.
If there was anybody poking about here, they sure didn't leave no tracks.
Samuth Amon Toth's tomb is one of the least spoiled in the Valley of the Kings.
Mindbender, you bloody dingo!
You may also notice
Where is she from? That was a strange accent I could not quite place.
She's Australian-ish. Like a little, the
Ish.
dreadnoughts are always a little Australian, a little English. They don't really say where Zartan's from.
She claimed to be. Back to the tomb, double Proto.
So the Joes are heading. They even got their the new cycle,
The very late General Amon Toth, I presume.
and she pulls out a like a DNA scanner,
Oh, zinger! This won't hurt a bit.
and it's gonna basically take the DNA from the mummy and give Cobra what they want. It also, I mean, it really disintegrates the heck out of that mummy. Like, that mummy's gone. Just kind of a one-time opportunity. Then, what do you think of her look?
I think this was still during the time when redheads were bad,
Totally.
which I I think is really funny. She kind of has a little bit of a
She's going nowhere.
Cyndi Lauper thing going on.
yeah, Cyndi Lauper. I was thinking of the not Red Sonja. What's the not like
Brigitte Nielsen?
Yes, that's the
Yes,
one.
she
I was
does.
like the girl version of
She
Dolph
does. She
Lundgren.
looks like Cyndi Lauper and Brigitte Nielsen made Sweet Love, which, hey, I'm down. And
I'm
yeah.
I like to pretend that they did.
Yeah, sure. They may have.
I think about that all the time.
They may have.
I
And,
think about that more
yeah,
than
yeah.
I think about G.I. Joe episodes.
Well, that's something for you to talk to someone about, because come on. The Thunder Machine just blew a hole in a wall in a giant dam, which for real flooded out and just covered our Joes that were in hot pursuit. So we're going in commercial.
There's no way they're getting out of that one.
No, they're not. Today's file card features on the G.I. Joe Navy SEAL, codenamed Wetsuit. His file name is Brian M. Forrest, and his primary military specialty is a SEAL. His secondary military specialty is the UDT, which stands for Underwater Demolitions, and his birthplace is Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. He's a grade E6. SEALs are the guys who were too nasty to be airborne rangers or Marines. The Navy keeps their SEALs locked up below decks until something bad becomes worse. That's when they all get dumped in the soup on a rubber raft with a knife, a gun, and all the ammo and explosives they can carry. Wetsuit may just as well be the roughest one of the bunch. He's wild and unruly, but he's simply the best at what he does. Quote, Wetsuit may be mean to the bone, but he's also quite bright, being well read in both the classics and the standard texts of military tactics. Pretty amazing considering that the level to which he has developed his toughness would seem to indicate full-time occupation. Wetsuit was fantastic both as a figure and on the show. On the show, they gave him a wonderful rivalry with Leatherneck, where it was the Navy SEAL fighting with the Marine. And as a figure, he had all kinds of accessories. He had the flashlight, he had the aqua skimmer. Of course, he had his flippers, he had his air hose that connected to his tank. Very cool toy. He fit really well into the Devilfish. Wetsuit was fantastic, and he's all over this second season of G.I. Joe. So I'm a huge fan of Wetsuit. Brian M. Forrest, Wetsuit, we salute you.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
He's got him on radio.
Slipstream, what's going on out there?
We got a bad situation here, General.
So now these guys, the Joes are in there. They're alive. Let's put it that way. But there's a big flood going on, and Zorana and Thrasher got away with the DNA.
Hawk, it's Cobra time.
So now we're in France, and that's Sci-Fi, the laser trooper. It's kind of a laser sniper, and some Cobra stuns are attacking the. This must be Napoleon's tomb, I imagine.
Oh, if they're in France. I'm sure they're getting
They're
some
in France.
Napoleon
This is probably
DNA.
Napoleon. Yeah.
You really do have to know some
Bonaparte.
stuff to
I
follow
know,
these.
that's what I'm saying. You got to keep track of this. So listen, listeners, if I get some of the stuff wrong, please. It's been a long time since I pulled my mom's encyclopedias off the shelf.
I'm sure Twitter will let you know how much stuff we got wrong.
Regroup and dig in, gung-ho. Fine by me, but we're gonna have to get rid of that Cobra jet job first.
Yeah. So they're basically having a firefight over the streets of Paris, which, to be honest, this foreshadows a little bit the fight that they had in the G.I. Joe movie. Do you remember the live action movie?
No.
They
The newest one you're talking about.
Yeah, well, the first one, not the sequel, but the first one. They had a big fight in Paris, and they ended up the Eiffel Tower ended up getting destroyed.
How much of that movie did they take from these?
Very little.
Okay.
Very, very little. Not enough. I mean, there was some stuff that you could tell was inspired from the show, but just them fighting in France. So now the Zaymot, the Crimson Guard, the Crimson Twins, Tomax and Zaymot, they bust in on the tomb, and there's Napoleon's dead body.
Was a little short.
That's really funny. I like how they didn't show his body, because the other guy, the emperor thing in the tomb was a mummy, so he's wrapped up. This would have just been a dead body.
That's gotta censor it for the.
Over here, guys! I see him now, Lifeline. Get ready.
Going up.
This is lift ticket.
They could lift up 4 people there.
That was a huge. So that was a helicopter. That's the Tomahawk, the coolest. So it was about yay big, right? The toy itself, it's about 2 feet, but then it had helicopter blades that were like a foot apiece.
Oh.
So it was like massive, just massive. And it had a so in the back the ramp fell down so you could pull up a motorcycle and park in it. The seats, all the seats were removable so you could fit a car or a motorcycle in it. It had a winch. It had side guns, so the guys that you put in the seats could like shoot and give cover. The front canopy popped open, so you could put the pilot and stuff inside. And then it had a bunch of missiles and stuff attached to it too. It was awesome.
That's a large toy.
Tomahawk is cool, yeah. And we did see that was the October Guard. They're the Russian equivalent of GI Joe.
Okay, and now we're in the Egyptian jungle here.
Yeah.
And we're dead tired.
So we got Dial Tone,
As soon as we're in position.
who even in the jungle has to wear his giant
hello,
backpack
Snake.
communication. They're in the Amazon
Here
jungle.
in Transylvania, General Hawk.
Oh, that makes more sense. Because I would say it's not really geographically accurate if there's a jungle right in front of the Egyptian tombs.
No. They were somewhere in the Amazon. But Beachhead, they're in Transylvania. So there's a Dracula in this universe.
I'm excited about that.
You
You didn't tell me
should
there was
be.
going to be a Dracula.
You should be. There's a Dracula, not a vampire, a
We
Dracula.
take our dates for a swim in the ever-popular Aztec pool of death.
What's cool about
All
this
right,
is
let's get in position and wait
this
for
episode.
Cobra's next move.
We've chided the show. We've teased the show a little bit that sometimes they send people on missions that aren't necessarily suited. So like they'll be going to the Arctic and they'll send a guy with no shirt on, like just because they want him on that episode.
Right.
But in this one, they've seemed to pair him up pretty well. Like that's Rokondo leading this. The snow guys were in the snow. The Dusty was in the desert.
You kind of wonder if maybe they wanted to do a 5-part story where they could actually use the characters in the terrains that they were meant to be used in.
Yeah. I'm sure that's got something to do with it. That gives them a little more flexibility. So they could just say use everybody and like, okay, we're going to actually use them properly. So now we've got the Dreadnoks showed up. There's the other Dreadnoks.
Just a bird.
That is Xandar.
It's an owl, not a
On
bird.
top of the great wall of hieroglyphs, and one in the niche
Not just
below the
some bird.
ceremonial stairs.
That's that guy Xandar. That's Zartan's twin, not twin. He's Zartan's brother. He's twins with Zorana. So we met him for the first time last episode too.
So all 3 children in that family were evil redheads?
Well, we don't know that Zartan's a redhead. I don't think that's his hair. That's a hood or something he wears. That ain't his hair. But the other 2 are evil redheads, evil punk rocker redheads.
They've got us boxed in.
I do have this though. So Xandar snuck up on him, and he's a master of disguise too, right?
Of course.
And he snuck up on him, and then all he did was jump out and punch people. There was no more to that big plan.
I'm going to sneak and then punch.
Yeah. So Torch started fire. Actually, so Torch started a fire, and they're driving the Joes. They're driving the Joes underwater, and the water's getting burned away. They're cooking the Joes alive as we go on a commercial break
And laughing.
and laughing. But there was a mistake that
G.I. Joe
happened.
will return after these messages.
Cobra's stolen the defense plans and is heading for the stiletto! Stop him before he launches into space! We'll take the desert fox! We're too late! Look, it's Sergeant Slaughter riding the warthog! Nobody beats G.I. Joe, fighting hard against the Cobra foe! Nobody beats G.I. Joe, a real American hero! The threats are mine! What happens next? Find out in Marvel Comics!
Now back to G.I. Joe.
There was a little bit of ADR additional dialogue recording there that explained it. And actually, in the animation, they're drawing Zorana. Zorana's not there.
Oh.
She's not supposed to be there. She wasn't like she's in that picture there, but she was with Thrasher, right? And they had her talking about frying the Joes. So
So they just had to add her in.
saying we just found a blooper. Can we go back to the animation studio and get this fixed?
A gaff.
A gaff.
Oh, that guy can hold his breath.
Steph, would you ever want to edit animation, or have you ever tried, or do you ever know what that's all about?
I've never done it. I have always wondered what it'd be like to work at Pixar. And that was sort of, I've applied a couple times to like assistant jobs there, but never gotten a job. And now I'm sort of settled in Los Angeles, so I don't know I'd want to do that. But
Because Pixar's up north, right?
it's just outside of San Francisco.
Okay.
But yeah, it's really interesting to me. I have no idea how you would go about doing it. Because you obviously have to record all the voices first, and then... So I think you're just animating storyboards, editing storyboards, and then kind of putting it all together.
This could work out after all.
Yeah, like
I'm not sure.
like how much is animated? Because as an editor, you look at tons of footage, and then you go in and say, here, end this here, cut there, go to this angle there. You're right.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But you don't do that in animation, right? Because they're not animating extra stuff,
right?
So it would be all in the storyboard.
That's what it seems like. I know that you're going to be doing some like audio editing because you're going to.
Yeah.
But I think that you basically edit the audio with storyboards, and then it kind of gets, as the animation comes in, then you're putting that together and tightening it up, but you can't change too much once it's animated.
Right.
So
Right. There's not much to.
you don't have a reshoot like you do for Suicide Squad.
Right.
You have a reshoot like a month before the movie comes out. You can't really do that with animation.
Yeah.
But I imagine that this is a little simpler than, say, Inside Out or something.
Well, this also, one episode of this took, 2 years to animate. You know what I mean? Or a year or something.
It's all hand drawn.
Yeah, it's all hand drawn, and it's such a slow process that maybe the editing is just that, like incremental.
Yeah.
Like incrementally go, okay, we're going to draw these pictures, and go, oh, no, stop there. Don't have them walk 3 steps further. Stop 3 steps back or something like that.
Yeah.
So maybe it is all done, just as sketches.
Yeah.
It's just a crazed tyrant who
I haven't really met anybody that does it, but it's definitely something I'm interested in learning more about.
Speaking of which,
well, while we were just chatting, the Dreadnoks got away with Montezuma.
Oh man,
Montezuma's revenge.
This looks like there might be a Dracula coming up.
Well, we're gonna get a Dracula.
Speaking of animation, it's so well drawn that I knew that was Dracula's castle.
Absolutely. So that's Mainframe. He's one of the new guys. And Beachhead, of course.
I feel like I had a Mainframe at some point.
Mainframe was cool. Mainframe came with a portable. He came with a laptop.
Okay,
Like he had a portable computer. It was like an Amiga or something.
I'm nerdy enough that I probably bought the toy because he had a computer.
Yeah, he had a backpack computer thing in his backpack, but his it was like a suitcase computer thing that he
He's way ahead of his time.
Oh, absolutely. We used Mainframe in one of our comedy sketches, and the gag was that everything was just still booting up and loading, and they'd be like, "What is that?" And he'd be like, "Hold on, I'm searching," and then like 3 lines later, the scene has totally moved on. And I'm like, I got it. It's a.
down in Waco, Texas. Face it, Iceberg, you were born in the wrong hometown.
So that's Iceberg. He's from Waco, Texas, but he loves the snow.
What's the word from
The other one's not even bundled up.
No, that's Duke. He's a man. They're just casually eating hot cocoa. Which
eating is accurate because I think it just turned to ice.
Yeah.
I could take a pretty good chill.
So that's the October Guard. They were introduced towards the end of last season, and they're fantastic. They're hilarious.
This is the Russian.
Yeah, this is like the Russian equivalent. They when they first met, they fought, but then they realized that they're we respect each other. So now when they show up, they generally help the Joes.
I like the collaboration between those old Ruskies and the
I think
the Americans.
Honestly, at the time too, Rocky IV and all that, it was a time of, I think a lot of people creatively and whatnot were saying we got to find a way to get along, otherwise we're going to kill each other.
Right.
So if you're doing the show, we're going to get along. There's no reason for these guys. They're all professionals. They respect each other, The big guy's name is Horror Show. And
that's pretty awesome.
He and Gung Ho get in fights a lot. So the Battle Androids troopers were attacking the guys in Russia.
Hide and seek. Let's
go back in.
And Beachhead and Dracula's castle, they're seeing an actual ghost.
Oh, so it's not a trick.
Oh, turns out it's Baroness.
Oh, it's a trick.
That's so great. That implies that
Oh no, was just a comedy of errors there.
That implies that Baroness was like, I'm going to fool them first. I'm going to make a ghost outfit.
That was a lot of trouble. That was an elaborate prank.
It's real elaborate.
I warn you.
You can't take both of us.
But she's standing in front of Dracula's crypt. Oh, what is this? Oh, that drill. Cobra's used that drill a couple times on the show. They just drilled right through Dracula's wall. Those are the Vipers. Those are the new. We did their file card last week. It's like the upgraded version of the Cobra foot soldier.
Is that skeleton supposed to be Dracula?
Yeah. Yeah. Dracula's skeleton. Which, you know what, contrary to, because aren't you supposed to split the head from Dracula in order to kill him?
Yeah, you would. I don't think you be a skeleton in a coffin.
Are you saying that G.I. Joe just disproved the Dracula myth?
I think maybe we found another gaff.
Wow. Well, we're going.
Oh no, that's it.
Yeah, let's hear about tomorrow.
From long-dead conquerors leads from the snowy steppes of Russia to the depths of the Mediterranean Sea. And Sergeant Slaughter becomes the unwitting dupe of the nefarious Dr. Mindbender. All in the next exciting episode of Arise, Serpentor, Arise.
That was exciting. First of all, not only did this episode we disprove the myth of Dracula, next episode we're going to Atlantis.
Oh man,
I'm gonna
have to watch this one on my own.
You saw that, right? That was Atlantis.
That was pretty fantastic episode there.
Right? It was a lot of action all over the world. A lot of different characters handled really well. Everyone got a little moment in the spotlight. Cobra won constantly. Like, Cobra did not fail on any of those dudes.
I like the communication between countries. That was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's bad day for Joe is what it is. It's a bad day for G.I. Joe. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me back.
Oh my God!
Can't wait for
Are you
part 5.
Kidding me? I'm so excited. So next week we got another mystery guest. Actually, this will be hopefully a new mystery guest, and you guys are gonna love it. Stephanie Goldstein at SteffersRG. Find her. Watch Survivor's Remorse on Stars. You know, tweet out, be like, wow, this show is edited wonderful. Only this season, though. Only season 4.
Only season 4.
Be like, I was watching season 2 and 3. The editing was a little choppy.
That's fair.
Yeah. Season 4, smooth as silk. Smooth as silk.
It's good stuff. I don't think you'll be disappointed if you watch it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And that drops in August, right?
That drops in August.
Okay, cool. I'm very excited to see it. So thank you so much for listening, everybody. Remember to tell your friends, find me at Joe on Joe Pod. And now you Joe, and Joeing is half the battle.